Stream is live, Hangout is live. Good morning, or evening, afternoon, whatever the hell it is, wherever you are. This is episode of OotiniCast 231. Insert standard preamble here, raw version of the show. We screw up a lot, we occasionally swear, it all gets edited down to something magnificent. And, yep, we find us all a bit... The audio's a bit tighter, we tend to a lot less in the recorded version. Oddly enough, it's amazing. We sound almost like professionals. Almost. It will just be Chill and myself. Someone was a bit slack about asking guests, and yeah, it turned out yeah, no one could make it because I left it too late. So, but that's okay because we like doing just the Chill and Tio show sometimes. Farsia, that was you. Welcome to the guild, mate. Yeah, it's a real shame you can't change your Twitch name, Bill646, without creating a whole new account. And Trig asked whether it's going to be a really long show because we've got a lot to talk about, or short because we've got a galaxy to save. So, and the answer really is in between because, yeah, we've got a lot to cover, but it's just two of us, and so how much can we really talk about? Well, we seem to have managed to fill shows anyway, but what is this to do with? All right, Chill. I'm going.
All the guests were busy, you know.
Yes. Good point. Saving the galaxy. Okay. I just got a response from Pliskin, which I just want to paste in. About legacy datacrons. I notice I've got most of mine filled out now, but I haven't logged into all my characters.
I haven't checked that yet either. Yeah, nah. I've been too busy leveling.
There's so much to do. It's crazy.
It's definitely something I'm going to be getting to, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like we went from pretty much nothing to do to everything to do, especially with this alliance system. I haven't got there yet, but just reading about it, it's like, Jesus Christ. They've created a huge sort of secondary major mini game in essence.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I did get to 65. I just played last night. Finished chapter 6 and bang, there I was.
Okay, so I must be about halfway there.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long. That was the only chance I had to play. Come on.
I guess that means I can skip bonuses and bonus quests and stuff like that. If we've got,
if you want,
what,
yeah. I did
9 chapters and it only takes 6 to get to 65.
Yeah. I used the XP boost, the complimentary one we get in the mail.
Yeah.
About halfway through, so it wasn't even for most of it.
Yeah, exactly. I can probably kind of skip that too, apparently. So that's good.
I won't bother with that on any of my other characters, that's for sure. Okay, Tim. Can't really be a tip of the week because it's actually explicitly been posted
Is it in the show notes somewhere?
Yeah, we already talk about it. So
okay.
I mean, it's reasonable.
So you actually have to log on to all your characters and open them up?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So it has to discover the datacrons, and then it'll just populate tip of the chat.
Tip of the chat, yeah.
All right. No need to muck about. I'll have to make sure last time it was just you and me. I forgot to start recording, so let me just test it.
Let me
test.
That's
This is a test. Hello. You're in studio mode. Hello.
It is.
Hello. Okay. That seems to be working. Chapter 9 right now.
Test.
Nice.
Looks good.
Yeah, Now I've discovered you have to have completed chapter 9 to do the whole alliance thing. I now have a big incentive to get that done on my main character.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that anyway. Yeah, that's another good point as well. Log into all your 60s to make sure the game starts accumulating the rested XP. And also make sure you finish your companion missions if you haven't already. Hello, Dark Edge Gaming. Utini peeps. Anyway, let's just roll the show and we'll just talk about stuff as we go. Chill, you are recording.
I am. Yes, let me get a little closer to my mic, though.
Okay.
My chair seems to have built a divot up. It keeps rolling me away a little.
Make sure I don't forget anything.
All right.
Chair. Imperial Agent and chapters 1 to 6. 5. All right, I'm ready.
Yep. All right. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast. It's true. All of it. This is episode 231, being recorded on Wednesday, October 21st, 2015. Yes, I'm using the new thing. I'm your host, Chill, with our producer and co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, guys.
And how was your week, Tio?
Oh, that's right. I can't just mess around for a bit listening to the other guys.
That's right.
So, my week, what I did before Codfee launched was make sure that I finished my Imperial Agent story. I sort of intended that because you get legendary status for having all your class stories finished. That was the only one I hadn't done. And somewhere I read that you get a big presence bonus if you do have legendary status. So I just wanted that. So, not that it really made that much difference. So I made sure that was done. I have now got all 8 class stories finished. I suppose I enjoyed the agent story. I am curious about what the fuss was about. So maybe I didn't do it right. There must be another path I should have taken or something. But yeah, it was cool. Jedi Knight is still number 1 as far as I'm concerned.
All right.
Now, of course, that was pretty much all I did before, because I had everything else sorted. I was ready to go. I did make a few MK9 augment kits, just because, as we know, they all got converted to MK8s, and they did indeed get converted to MK8s, so that's all right. I've got over 40 of the things already accumulated, so whatever. And of course, all my existing raiding characters have already got augmented gear, so it's not like I need a whole lot of new kits anyway. Maybe I'll just sell them.
Yep. Yeah. Similarly, my operations main got like 72 mastery stims because they all got converted and merged.
Yes,
it's one
you
huge
now have
stack.
An infinite number, and of course there are no new biochem consumables in 4.0, so we can just keep on using them.
All right.
Yeah. Now, of course, once Codfee went live, that was Tuesday night for me. It came good somewhere early on Wednesday morning, and so my only chance to actually play was last night, Wednesday night, my time after dinner. And so I played for 2 or 3 hours, got to level 65, finished chapters 1 through 6. Now, this was on my Guardian, which is the tank in our raid group. I was still in tank spec and kept all my tanking gear, and just blew through the story. It was remarkably easy. So there's a bit more about that later from Turg, but yeah, nothing could touch him basically, which is great. So that was good. So yes, finished chapter 6, which is when I hit level 65. I will do the last 3 chapters so I can start the whole alliance thing, which as we will talk more about later. Now, in terms of experiencing it, you get to fight a lot of the Sky Troopers. Not enough of the Zakul Knights, in my experience. I got pretty sick of fighting the Sky Troopers. I really did enjoy the story. And, of course, we're not going to spoil anything, so fear not. But now that I know what happens after you kneel, yeah, well, that's just fantastic. So, best bit so far, gotta say. Yeah, I'm really interested to see where the story goes. But yeah, really, I'm surprised it was so quick. 60 to 65 in 2 or 3 hours without trying particularly hard. So, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Anyway,
it's pretty quick, yeah.
That's my week. Over to you, Chell.
All right. First, a shout out to the chat room. Let's see. Ben B is here. Ben B55. Bill 646, who has I can't. Sorry, I'll look it up later. Sorry, Bill. Dark Edge Gaming is here. Darth Brundlefly, Dekion, Demeril Zelf 85, Farseer, Gas Guy's here, Anixis, Jazzy Cat, Jockins, Just Devon, Kevlar, Jade Walker, Lock 9734, Marine Gordon, Morlin. Let's see, Palace, Robtober25 says Skayetzka's here, Swotor Addicts, Swotor Sable, the Zez, Trig PT, Turgson, let's see, and 06 are all here. Hello, everyone. And before the expansion, I finished the McKeb staged weeklies, so yay, I was very happy to get that done. Yeah, took several runs on both sides, and then, yeah, so I was a lot more careful this time about what I did in what order, and I got it right this time, so
well done.
Made it a lot easier, yeah. I should have just gone back to the guides that were that were given to us. The Delphi one was not... I mean, it was accurate as far as it went, but it wasn't very clear as far as the... anyway, I made some errors reading it or whatever. Anyway.
You weren't the only one. Yeah, I probably did it on a couple more times in terms of going through the stage steps than I had to.
Right.
Because I likewise I screwed up at least one step.
So, yeah, some of the other ones are probably better, but that's all right. It's all done now. Worked on my Dark Sage after that, and she's now through Belsavis, so haven't gotten her done, but I've done Sages before, so I also have all the class stories done. Long since. Yeah, so yesterday, well, of course I do have my my karate lesson, but I did get chapters 1 to 3 done, so that went pretty well, and took a little while to kind of get rolling because you get a bunch of mail, and you kind of I had to check out like my bags and see like, okay, this, that's when I found out all my mastery stems were all together, and everything was MK8s and blah blah blah. Found out all that stuff, cleared out my bags, redid my talent, or utilities they're called now. Yeah, so. But yeah, it went pretty quickly, and I'm enjoying the story so far. I have not gotten the pantsless companion bug yet, which apparently a lot of people have. I saw a lot of tweets about it on the opening day, but I haven't gotten that yet. Maybe I will later. And I am streaming this along with appropriate spoiler warnings on my tweets. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So. And I was surprised because there were people who were watching the stream, so they were, some people are okay with spoilers. So
maybe they'd already seen the story, because I was surprised that people are streaming and people watching because spoilers.
Well, some of them said that they specifically said they hadn't, but
okay.
they were happy with it. So yeah, it's all good. In fact, they were just using it as like a sort of an appetizer before they could get home and play themselves. So,
fair enough.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. I'll have more time, of course, this week. Are we going to be doing rating any time this week, or are we just doing leveling this first week out?
I thought if we have enough, we will get together and do a story mode, because you can do that anywhere between 50 and 65. Right. So anyone who needs XP will just jump in and do that. But cool. So in theory tomorrow night, and we'll see about Friday night.
Sounds good. All right. And that's it. So, yeah. I can't wait to see more, and we'll avoid spoilers. And as far as the details of Kotfi, there's going to be a lot to go over the rest of the show, so we can do it then. So let's just move on to the tip of the week. We've got 4 of them this time. I'll go ahead and start us off with Emil from the Harbinger. Hi, guys. Wanted to share this little tip I discovered while leveling some of my 12 timers in 4.0. Companion conversation missions are no longer gated by affection and influence. If your newer alts haven't even started the companion stories, this is a great way to get started with easy XP. I got pretty close to a full level using this method. Some companions will require you to travel to the planet and complete those more involved missions, which will stop you in your tracks. For the most part, it's going to be back-to-back conversations on your class. You didn't bother with your guardian.
Yeah. But it's XP, because you actually get a fair amount of XP. I got a quarter of the way towards 61 just by finishing off the companion stories I hadn't already done on my Guardian, so that was good. And of course, once you start Kotfi, you cannot go back and do your companion stories. They will be blocked off, so it behooves you to actually run through it. Yeah. Though, as you said, some of them do require you to go to a planet, which is a bit slow, but it's all level sync now. You get even XP for that, so why not? Yeah. I should mention in all the rest of my characters, because I want to take them all through Zyos before going through to Kotfi. Which means I'm going to get XP for that. It'll be interesting to see doing the Zaya story, how far towards 65 I get from 60. One of the guys, Farsia, I think, said that he finished a character, his chapter 3, to get he hadn't actually finished leveling. He finished chapter 3, and that got him to 62 before he even starting coffee. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
very cool.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Now, our next tip is from Fatal Spark from the Jedi Covenant server. This tip refers to managing credits and multiple alts, and will still be useful despite the upcoming early access launch next week, or this week. I have heard horror stories from guildies and friends who have mailed 5 million credits to an alt, but mistyped the name or selected the incorrect name from the drop-down and subsequently lost those credits. On rare occasions, the credits simply vanished, and it was difficult to remember the specifics of the message to file the ticket to customer service. To avoid this nightmare scenario, I always attach an item of legacy gear to a mail message with a large sum attached before sending to an alt. With so many legacy items available in the game and more to be given to us next week, I have always at least one item that will work for this function. I hope this helps those who are shifting materials and funds around in preparation for 4.0. And of course that works because the mail system will not let you send a mail
Legacy
message
items.
if there is a legacy item attached. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you, it's a great idea. We've mentioned this before, but it's a good reminder.
Yeah, I think what I would probably use right now is I ended up with a bunch of those like Gronk droid pets from making all the new characters. Going for the statue. You get those Gronk droid pets. I have like 20 of them. There's not even really a need for them. I could send one to every alt and still have 10 left over. But I could do that, I suppose. That's probably what I would do, because there's no other real use for them. All right, and third tip of the week, Monty Python fan apparently, Biggest Dickus of the Shadowlands, writes, here's a quick tip that may help a few out. When choosing to start a new tune at level 60, your provided gear is blue 188s. If you have previous companion gear from the Yavin Weekly, Spirit of Cooperation, you can use that gear on the new tune, which is purple 192s. That gear now has Mastery with secondary stat variations and will cover you for everything except relics.
There you go.
Don't forget to re-crystal your main and offhand, as those have been stripped. From the starting area for your new level 60, you can hop to your stronghold, re-gear, and hop back. I was even lucky enough to have one of my alts get back Streak's gear for my new mercenary.
Cool, because there was a problem. Apparently some people weren't getting Treek's gear sent back to them.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's a really great tip, especially since you really do want to put on different gear if you can, at least for the Sage, because they get the set of gear that they're presented for an Insta-60 is, the oven mitts, that particular outfit from the...
Yes, from
in the old days.
Yeah, from EV.
Yeah, it was terrible. So, it's a horrible outfit. But, of course, with the outfit designer, makes it all really easy to give yourself whatever look you want.
Yeah, I was finding that with my operations character, this is my operations character that I'm leveling, that with that gear, 198, there's not very many challenges in terms of actual, fights and stuff.
Oh, so no. God, no.
You just roll through it.
Yep. Doesn't get any
and I even put my companions on damage, and I just wasn't taking enough damage to bother.
I did have a point where my companion at the time was kind of bugging out, and the people I was fighting kept evading. So I put that companion on passive, I had them as set as my healer, and they actually did a lot of damage to me. So it looks like the companions are actually doing a fair amount of work. Okay. So if you put yours on damage, maybe that was just a special case or something. Oh, anyway, Palais just mentioned in chat that cross-faction alt names now autocomplete when mailing. They never used to do that. Now, you just
that
had
would
to
cause some of
remember
those bugs, yeah, or errors rather. Mm-hmm.
So this is just yet another way to make sure it's easier to mail your other faction alts. So that's great.
That's another nice little
It is lots of Kotvi experience. As best I can and avoid spoilers. I can't recommend turning off general chat enough. You can't see spoilers when you can't see chat, right? That is good advice, Ice.
Mm-hmm.
I may have mentioned this, I turned off general chat on every character now. I never see it. It's a blissful experience, I must say. Mariachi continues. As for myself, I also turned off the chat called Guild Information. That's just one of the options for configuring each of your chat windows. This makes it so your chat won't be spammed by all those Kotvi achievements that your guildies are unlocking. Aww. The achievements are light on spoilers, but I still prefer to not see them, at least for now when Coffee is so fresh. To turn off general chat or guild information, or any chat really, you want to right-click on the tabs at the top of your chat window and go into chat settings. Along the right side of the chat settings window are buttons that you can toggle the many types of chat on and off. Oh,
Okay.
that reminds me. There's so many things that I probably should check. I've barely had a chance to scratch the surface, like options in the preferences. I should have a wander through there and just see if there's anything new that catches my eye.
Yeah, the companion bar is different because it's a lot shorter and there's no separate bar anymore.
Yeah, they said they'd compressed it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So much to do. Anyway.
All right. Yeah, and I actually like having the guild achievements just so I can congratulate them. Because, this is the time, or one of the times is when you just see a lot of people in the guild playing and get to see a lot of achievements pop up.
Yeah. Oh, and also if you want to avoid spoilers, avoid social media, Twitter in particular. You will get spoiled because people are just posting whatever out there, which is fine because they're excited. But until you've done the story yourself, try to remain spoiler free because there is some cool stuff in there.
Right. And to turn off general chat, you go to the tab, you kind of right-click on it and go for settings, and then there's going to be a tick box for general. You're going to untick it, and anything else that you want to untick or tick, and then close it, and that'll turn off general chat for you.
Oh, please just mention the key binding import and export that we talked about previously. That's live now as well, so when you create your Insta60, export the settings from a characters whose key binding you want, import it on your Insta60.
Nice.
Good to go. Yeah.
Slick. All right. By random allotment, the winner is Emil. So congratulations, Emil. You're the winner of a Tonfon or M83R droid pet code, courtesy of Bioware, and a new OotiniCast provided Cartel Market Pack from the latest shipment. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by next Tuesday. That will bring us to the Holo feed. Tio?
Well, we've got a fair amount to go over. Of course, a lot of it has already been covered, so we're not going to beat the dead horse, as it were. So we'll just try and we'll give an overview and touch on new stuff as we come across it. So firstly, Game Update 4.0, Knights of the Fallen Empire, Early Access, was deployed on Tuesday. The maintenance was apparently supposed to be 5.5 hours. The download, I kicked it off on Tuesday night for me. And the first file that started downloading was an 8.76 gigabyte main assets, 214. I don't know what it downloaded beyond that because I went to bed and it was all done in the morning. So
yeah,
and the limit definitely isn't on my end. So their CDN, their content delivery network, is obviously just not that fast in terms of distributing the files. But anyway, there's a lot of data.
Right. I was kind of had actually good foresight, and I started it. I tried starting it before work, and it actually was going by then. So I got lucky in that it was all set up for me when I got home from work. And when I was streaming, there were like multiple people saying like, "Yeah, this is loading really slowly." So a lot of people are trying to download from their servers, and it was kind of boggy. So yeah. So I was really happy that I actually had that done. But I'm sure that'll thin out over the next day or two.
Yeah.
Most of that'll
and maybe
get done.
They'll optimize it as well, given when they see that a lot of people are drawing on it. Okay, so there were a few posts. We'll get to the patch notes. Here is some information on the conversion rates. So all your droid gear, if you have companions that were droids, such as HK for example, or T7, all those droid parts were converted into valuable droid parts and appeared in your inventory. And you can just
sell
them,
it to a vendor.
Which I did. Yeah. I saw a bunch turn up in my inventory. I vended them for 118,000 credits, so
yeah, I
better
had
than nothing.
One on the one character, and it was like 8,500 credits.
Yep. Now, all old operation gear tokens are changed into a lockbox, which contains glowing data crystals. I got a bunch of those, which I haven't actually opened because I'm kind of maxed out on all my crystals, except for elites. Sorry. Whatever the middle one is. Glowing?
Okay.
Is that what the glowing ones are?
Maybe.
Whatever. So that's why you should actually the icon. I think it's the EliteCom icon, and the name of it is EliteCom something or other. So apparently that was mislabeled, but in theory they do contain the glowing data crystals. Turg asks about that later.
Yeah.
And there's a big list of all the consumable items which are no longer craftable and what they were converted into. So yes, we've sort of gone over all that. Too late now. It's all happened anyway, so everything's been converted. Character transfers were taken offline. They are back online now, though note they will be taken down for another 24 hours next Tuesday. They have yet to mention when they are raising the price back, though. So as far as I know, they're still cheap. I thought they said they would be doing this around coffee, where they would actually put it back to the normal price.
Yeah, that's right.
So
we had the idea. Yeah, we had the idea it'd be done before coffee, but apparently not. Right.
And a few people were saying, "Oi, I should be in early access." Unfortunately, the criteria for it were they are well defined, but they probably weren't explained really well. So specifically, if you had received the 4 pre-launch rewards,
right,
which are the blasters, the duster, the something, and the something else, all 4 of them, then you have access to early access, and you had to be subscribed on each of the specific dates for those 4 rewards, and you should now be having a week of early access. So, yeah. Now, if you got all 4 rewards, you believe you should have, please contact customer support, because I saw at least one person where it had messed up. So don't give up, or just wait. And everyone will get it next Tuesday for subscribers only. There was a new trailer for Knights of the Fallen Empire, a Alliance gameplay trailer. Didn't really have anything that new that I saw, but whatever. It
certainly, wasn't explaining the Alliance system or anything like that.
Not even a little bit. There was a post by Bruce McLean, not really saying anything new, but just welcoming us to the expansion. Nothing really to mention there. And then we have the patch notes. As is usual for an expansion's patch notes, they are really, really long. So they summarize all the good stuff.
Yeah, we'll hit the highlights here.
Yeah. The storyline start at level 60. So everyone gets an insta 60. I don't have access to that because I've got my characters maxed on the Harbinger. So if I went to another server, obviously, to get your insta 60, you click on the create a new character button, and you'll be presented with the choice. Do you want to do an insta 60, or do you want to just create one from scratch? So that's how it works. And you should only have 1 per account, not 1 per server. There's a new player tutorial. And when you start Chapter 1 of Coffee, if you know what you're doing, do not enable that feature. It is the most annoying thing, because it will disable a bunch of your abilities. If you know what you're doing, it will drive you nuts. So don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, you do get the choice. Do you want to do the tutorial? Say no. No, actually, even if you don't know what you're doing, you probably don't want to do that either. Yeah. I mean, I can see the intention was to introduce abilities slowly, but it really does more harm than good.
I take it you tried it, huh?
Let's say I did. Yes. So yes, don't do that.
That's funny.
Now, we will talk more about the whole companion thing. Obviously, the 9 chapters of Coffee are open, and the Alliance system has been explained, and there is a long blog post about that we will get to. And you can only start all that once you have finished Chapter 9, which is the last chapter available to you, which is why I will push through to finish Chapter 9 on my Guardian, so I can kick off the whole Alliance thing. Now, we'll talk more about it later, but there is a lot of stuff there with the whole Alliance system. It really is a complex thing that they have created there, and appears to give you a lot of stuff to do. It's all solo stuff, not really group, but yeah, and they have introduced a new flashpoint. Who would have thought? Star Fortress.
Okay.
So, yeah, which very much sounds like Cure Drive Yards in terms of its variability, but I haven't seen it yet because you have to finish Chapter 9 to access that, because it's part of the whole Alliance thing, apparently.
Okay.
All right. Let's get into the details. So, legendary status, we talked about that. If you finished all 8 class stories on your legacy, you will now get that little Well, it's a little Star Wars: The Old Republic icon, basically, that appears to the right of your name, floating above your head. So let everyone know. It's interesting to see wandering around the fleet who's got it and who hasn't.
Right.
It doesn't actually do anything except for the significant amount of presents that it grants for your companions. So there is a reason to get it. So,
yeah, that could be part of why I was just blowing through things.
Absolutely. Let's see. All subscribers have been granted an additional 2 character slots per server. 2. So effectively, all subscribers should now have 14 slots by default, and then obviously you can buy the rest up to 40.
Right.
Yeah, so if you preferred, not so much. So I'm not sure they granted them any, or did they give them 1? You certainly can't have more than the maximum of 16, including unlocks. So,
okay.
Yeah. Now, Legacy Datacrons. The key point for this, Tim mentioned it as a tip of the chat, that's our friend Gas Guy, that you actually have to log into the character who originally got the Datacron for that Datacron to be added to your legacy.
Right.
So when you first log in, if that character hadn't got your Datacrons, you'll open up the panel, it's in your legacy. It's a beautifully arranged dialogue showing, arranged by planet, and you can see all of them laid out nicely.
Okay.
You'll have none of them, so you have to log into each character. I've done some, I haven't got all the way yet. Now,
do you actually have to log on and open up the Datacron part of the legacy to see it, or can you just log on, log off, go to the next character?
You just have to log in, that's all I did. And
okay.
I did get the grant on the other characters, so that did seem to work.
Does it show up in your chat or something that you have such and such legacy Datacron?
I didn't notice that. I don't think so.
Okay, it just shows up in achievements. Okay.
Yes, and in that
all
panel,
right.
of course.
Right.
Now, Jazzy Cat Pliskin had a problem with that, where he said that it didn't work. He didn't get all of his. He contacted customer support and they said it was a bug and they may be able to fix it in the future.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you think you've got them all and they're not showing up and you have logged into every character on that server, then there's probably a bug here or there. And you can either wait for customer support to fix it or you can go and get it again. So maybe it's a good opportunity to revisit some of those last Datacrons.
I guess I'll probably, I'll log on to all my characters anyway, so.
Place actually confirms you do get the achievements spam in your chat. So
cool.
I didn't notice that myself, but
right.
Probably because that's switched off. Let's see. We've already talked about a lot of this. Whisper, add remove friend is now available in the guild window. Whisper,
nice.
At last. But yeah, we already talked about that.
And even add and remove friend is nice.
Yes. Now, random mount and random pet abilities. The legacy-wide free. You just, I believe you actually have to go in there and unlock them, or are they unlocked by default?
I haven't tried that one. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
I was happy with the mount I was using. Oh, the Kotfi speeder that you get is really cool.
The
it's not
bike?
Kotfi. Yeah, the swoop bike. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Swoop bike speeder. That was cool.
Yet another, the last extra subscriber award beyond the 4 pre-access ones, I think.
Yeah. Nico's blasters were good. Didn't put them on my gunslinger, but I could see maybe using them. Yeah. Wasn't a huge fan of the duster, but I don't know. Didn't quite thrill me, but oh well.
Dekion confirms random mount and random pet are enabled, so you didn't have to pay for them. You should just be able to find the abilities in your legacy abilities, drag them onto your bar, and there they are. I will never use those because I have no interest, but I'm sure a lot of people will get some use out of them. Let's see. Where were we? Some new key bindings. Control E to open your edit mode for Galactic Strongholds. Why not? Now, this may be annoying. The new key binding option N will open your companions and contacts interface. It looks completely different. And crew skills is now in B. So you will probably find yourself hoping to open your crew skills and opening your companions and contacts interface instead. So
that happened to me at first too. And you kind of get used to it real quick because at least N is still doing something with your companions, just not the crew missions.
Yep.
And also there's no automatic companion window in the wherever you put your companion window, so that you can just call your companion. You have to actually bring up this window. So at least I couldn't figure out a way to do it.
No, you're right. They have actually separated those two things now.
Yeah.
Which is a bit weird. They changed the rank at which you can get speed of piloting 1, 2, and 3. It's been lowered a bit for subscribers. And for non-subscribers, it looks like they're just taking it down 5 levels, roughly, at least for level 1, rank 1, and then a bit lower for the rest too. Alright, companion system changes. We'll talk more about this when we get to the alliance system, but influence really is different to affection, and I kind of like what they've done with it. But we'll get there.
Well, when I opened it up, I thought it had all been gone, and then I hovered over it and saw that I actually did have 10,000 on each of my companions, only it's a tiny sliver of the new bar that's available.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 25,000 or something like that.
Yeah, if you max it, you are 10,000. The new limit is 250,000.
250,000, yeah, that's right. Not 25,000, 250,000.
Fair way to go, I think.
It was a tiny sliver, yeah. It was crazy.
Now we have another tip of the chat from Gas Guy. He says, to unlock and show the exploration missions, the buttons is on your map window and not in your preferences. He said he spent 10 minutes rereading preferences twice not to see the function. Yeah, it's on the map. And apparently it does hide the triangle on the top of the quest giver's head if you don't have it enabled. Yeah.
Doesn't even grey it out or anything.
One of our guildies was looking for the black hole missions, and they were all now classed as exploration, apparently, because he just couldn't see them. They just weren't there.
I gotta tell you, the important purple ones are certainly obvious. They're huge now. They're like gigantic. You cannot miss them.
Absolutely.
They're ballooned up. They are. They're on steroids. They're crazy.
And I don't like that particular shade of purple, but I'll deal with it, I'm sure. They have added a new rank of companion gifts, net rank 6. And we'll talk more about what companion gifts do, but let's just say the ones you have already, ranks 1 to 5, are a lot heftier in the amount of influence they grant than they were previously.
That's good.
Some people may have been speculating on that prior to launch, Bill and Kuze, and they appear to be cleaning up.
Right.
In terms of selling them.
I was kind of curious if your companions are getting crew skill bonuses based on this, and if so, do you have to be past 10,000? Do you gain anything past 10,000? Because it used to be 10,000, that took a while to get, and that was where the maximum was, and you got a decent bonus. But I don't know what the setting is now. Like if we're gonna have to get the 250,000 to improve crew skills.
Okay, let's talk more about that when we get there, I think.
Yeah.
Now, just to follow up to the billing issue. Oh, sorry. So there was the problem with people getting access to early access.
Mm-hmm.
There was a billing/timing issue that was causing a small subset of users to not have it. If you thought you were supposed to have it, you didn't relog, and you should have access. And if you still didn't, contact customer support. I don't know. I don't know anyone who was affected by that. It worked fine for me, but yeah. All right, level sync. We know all about that. What shall we talk about next? There's the combat changes. We talked about those just last week, so nothing really to reiterate there. Though I do have a correction from both Ufalong and Ketius of the Red Eclipse server. Now, I said that all our white damage was were basic attacks at 90% and accuracy by default, and that they had been changed to 100%. And I thought that applied to all of our abilities that weren't force or tech attacks. That is not correct, as both of these fine gentlemen were pointed out to me, and I really didn't know this. So it turns out that every ability in your ability book has 100% accuracy, except for that one first ability that has no cooldown and uses no resources. That's your basic attack. There is one per class. Every class has one, like Strike for the Jedi Knight. And that was the only ability out of all of the ones you have that had 90% accuracy. So all I've done is taken that one ability and made its accuracy 100%. So really, it should make pretty much no difference overall. It was just this kind of weird outlier. So
you're right.
so thank you guys for.
It's just a filler anyway. So
exactly,
okay.
Exactly. So whatever. Now we will not go through all the class changes. What I did want to do was go through each class comparing to what they published, just to see if there was anything different. I might try that for next week though.
Okay. Let's see.
I've jumped down to crew skills. There's a little link there, Chill, so you can just click that below the corrections. That will take you all the way down.
Wait, below the corrections?
Yeah, or search for crew space skills. Will get you there.
Okay, I might have to. I see the correction now. Okay. All right. So I'm going past. Actually. How does the jump to next section work?
Just click on the link.
Okay, I'm clicking on it. It's doing nothing except bringing up
In that
hashtag
case-
heading blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, then click on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of crap in Google Docs. Sorry.
General crew skill changes.
Yep.
Thank you.
No worries. All right, crew skill changes. Again, we've covered most of these. There's some weirdness with my artifice in that now you have to create components for making your everything else. And it turned out the components that were showing up were for arms tech. So in my crafting window on my artifice
That is
character.
weird.
Now
Yeah.
I actually created one, and it turned out that was just mislabeled. So it was creating the artifice specific components. It was just showing up as so that was extremely confusing. But you got to expect these little bugs, and there are a few little bugs in the game, I've noticed. I mean, most of it's fine. There's just little things. And if I haven't mentioned it already, there is a patch tonight. So by the time you hear this in the recorded version, the patch will have been deployed. That is 4.0A being deployed on Thursday morning US time.
Okay.
And they haven't said what they're fixing, but there are a lot of little bugs. All right. What else? Again, we have covered most of this as far as crew skills goes. The conversion of MK8 augment kits and augments from MK9s and MK11s or 10s or whatever they were has happened. Everything's been switched around, but yeah, we knew all that.
Yep.
And that. Harvesting crew skill changes. Yeah, I'm just going to skip most of this. Of course, all the new flashpoints are now available. The solo mode for a bunch of them. All the story flashpoints, and certainly the ones in the later expansions. There's tacticals for pretty much everything, and hard modes for pretty much everything, including Red Reaper for the first time.
Very cool.
So now I've got my 65 tank. I might actually random in and see what happens. Pug for the win. Or actually do it with some guildmates, which will be a lot more fun. Operations. Now, they did something interesting with this. Where was that explained? Where was it explained? Where there is now... Let me see if I can find it, because they have actually done something different with... Here we go. Now, for the operations, as you know, all of them have been scaled up. So all of the operations in the game are now available in story mode, level 50 to 65, and for hard mode at 65. There is also a nightmare where the operation has a nightmare mode operation also for those. Now, they've introduced this concept of a high priority target hard mode operation, and there's one of these per week, and these will grant greater rewards.
Ah, neat. Okay.
Yep. So whatever it is, it could be any of the 11 operations that they have listed here. Or actually, there's probably more of the harder ones, as they include the Golden Fury and the Colossal Monolith in there.
Right.
Not the Colossal Monolith is easy, but anyway. Yeah, so if you do that week, and it's random, obviously, you will get better rewards. So we'll have to find out what that means. I wonder if that means a higher tier of gear, which is a strange choice.
Right, more comms, who knows?
As a reminder, for Nightmare Mode, you do not apparently get better gear from it. It will be the same as Hard Mode. But any unique rewards to Nightmare Mode are still there. It's just
Okay.
that the gear isn't any better. Unless, of course, you do this hard mode, the high priority target thing, and then you do get better gear. Tacticals were available from level 10 for Eslos and Black Talon, and then from 15 you'll be able to queue to any of the rest. So you only get Eslos and Black Talon from 10 to 15, and then all of them available afterwards. So they've said, screw the story as far as the Shadow of Revan, etc.
Right.
Tacticals go. Start at
That's
15.
going to be weird. Yeah, being
Yeah.
like a level 15 doing False Emperor or whatever.
Yes.
That's going to be bizarre.
Yes, it will. Or
I'm not
Battle
even
Aggression.
off. I'm not even off
So-
of Corset, and I'm knocking Malgus off the balcony.
Yeah. Well, let's not think about that too hard. Of course, the hard mode flashpoints are also
Yeah.
available from level 50, we should mention. So,
Cool.
and you're bolstered, obviously, to 65. Now, they talked about the Star Fortress. It's available after Chapter 9. There are 6 of them around Alderaan, Belsavis, Hoth, Nar Shaddaa, Tatooine, and Boss. And they come in 2 modes, Solo and Heroic 2+. In theory, you can actually solo the Heroic 2+ as well, but you have to build your alliance on their planet or something. So I don't know enough about the details of that to really talk about it intelligently, so we'll just leave that. They talk
Okay.
about building influence with alliance specialists to unlock unique combat-enhancing buffs and abilities in the 2+ mode. Earn new decos, mounts, achievements, and more.
Very nice.
Yep. So that was a surprise because we didn't actually think we were getting any new flashpoints, and here it is. Now, a whole lot of graphics and UI stuff. They changed a whole lot of things. The game just looks better overall.
Okay.
A few things like the old Crucibles panel looks pretty much the same way, but a lot of things have been cleaned up. The collection search that we found out about is great, except you can't search overall. You have to actually go into a category to actually get the specific search function, which I thought was
So you have
a
to
bit
know
disturbing.
what category it is, which most of the time you will. Some of the weird
Yeah.
ones you might not.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a bit of unpleasant surprise, but whatever. Better than it was for sure. You will have all seen them if you played it all, the play button. So that will take you into the story, and then
Yes.
if you fleet back or go to your stronghold, you're then out of the story, and the play button appears. You can go back into it. I had to use that once, where I jumped into a container, and I couldn't get out. I was just stuck. So what I did was I fleeted out.
Nice.
And then hit the play button, and I was back in the same room, which was fantastic. So that was nice.
Very good.
And wasn't stuck in the container anymore, which was even better. Countdown timer. A countdown timer can be viewed for next month's chapter by viewing it in the mission log or tracking it in the mission tracker. So
Oh, that's
once they
fun.
do start releasing the other chapters, and that should start early next year in January-ish. They haven't given us anything concrete, I believe. You'll be able to find out more about it and when it's going to appear. Inventory and ability icons now have a mouse over pulse to improve visibility.
If you current
Yes.
selection, I wonder if that'll help Kuze, because he actually does do a lot of clicking still.
He does. Clicker.
I wonder if it'll be distracting to him or helpful.
Now, they supposedly fixed mouse over hotspots on the conversation response wheel, thing you click on, to be more accurate. Yeah, they kind of
I've
fixed that and
noticed
made it harder to click. So, I don't know what they
Yeah,
did there.
basically right. They made the zone between the two sections kind of neutral, and you can't. They're not clicking anything.
Yeah.
You have to get right in the sweet spot of each one. That's all
Exactly.
right. We'll
I
get used to
suppose.
it real quick.
Or just use 1, 2, 3
Yeah.
instead. So, but yeah, I found myself missing a lot when I was clicking, which was a little annoying. But again, yeah, you get used to it.
All right.
Remember, as Gaskai pointed out earlier, on your map is where you can show and hide exploration missions, and they are off by default.
Yeah.
Let's see. Basic, Elite, and Ultimate Comms got changed into Common, Glowing, and Radiant crystals, that we knew about. So it was kind of weird to come into Godfrey with my Guardian, as my rating character, pretty much maxed out on all the new crystals without ever actually doing anything. So I have yet to find out what level 65 gear I can actually buy with those crystals. So we'll see how well kitted out I can get.
Right. I'm 800 of 1,000 on the basics or whatever they're now called. So I'm getting pretty close to where I'm gonna have to go and check it out anyway.
Let's see. Yep. A new feature with the story. Summon group for story quest. We made it easier for you and your friends to play Knights of the Fallen Empire together. Once you've got a group and you're in the story, you've clicked the play button. You can right-click on your character portrait and bring them in. Of course, I don't know how much they can help you. In terms of the story, again, they're just sort of in audience mode in effect. Spectator mode, so they can't really interact. But I suppose they can help you with the combat part. Not that there is much to do with the combat, because it's all pretty easy, but why not? If you're playing with your friends, that's a way to do it. And the choices that you make only affect your story, so maybe that means you can influence it. Yeah, okay, I'm going to have to try that at some point.
Yeah, that's weird. Why would they even say you can make choices if you're just along for the ride?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, just going through it. What else? Exploration. Area missions. Area missions have been converted into regular missions acquired by interacting with an object or NPC in the field.
Good.
Before,
okay.
Just a reminder, because they're the ones that just appeared when you turned up into a certain area.
Yeah, and it was always a kind of a neat idea, and it was kind of secret, and blah blah blah. But more often than not, I found it kind of annoying because I'd be just traveling through a place to go to get a Datacron or something, and it would pop up, and I'd have to kill it off my
Mission
bar.
log. Yes, exactly.
But it was always a cool idea. But I'm happy. I'm just as happy with having it be an object that you click.
Now, some of your companions can now use blaster rifles and sniper rifles rather than whatever they used before. That's the general change. T7 now only uses blaster rifles. I wonder why they did this. Ewan and Kaizen only use tech blades.
You'd think T7 would be more of a pistol user. A blaster rifle is a lot for a droid, a round, tin can to handle.
Yeah. Now remember, the weapon choice defines the ability selection. So
I'm sure that's why.
Consistent.
I'm sure that's a big part of it. But yeah. I saw
remember,
a lot of people were happy about Eric Jorgen using blaster rifles and sniper rifles, since his abilities were always more snipery than big gun like. So
right. Now, of course, it doesn't matter what weapon, so you can just buy it cheapy or craft it or whatever of the lowest level possible. It doesn't matter. You just need a weapon of the appropriate type in their weapon slot to activate their abilities. And their stats all come from you. None of it comes from...
you don't have to crystal them up or anything.
Yep. Now, there is a whole lot of known issues, and a lot of these may actually be fixed in 4.0a, so not really much point in going through it.
Okay.
Though... Yeah, any of these you want to call out? Yeah, there's some... If you're doing Star Fortress,
accepting more than
25, follow you across the bridges, you have to resummon them.
Yeah.
Accepting more than 25 missions will cause item rewards to appear incorrectly in the mission log. They'll still grant as expected. It's just they just mess up when it is being displayed.
The locked medium elite commendation containers still named with the old commendation name, but do contain the apparent new data crystals.
We mentioned that already. That's why I was noticing that. What the hell? But yes, they will contain the crystals. Apparently, the cartel market is telling people that you can get your Insta60 tokens available for purchase now, but apparently there will be some time in the future. So you cannot get additional Insta60s, just the free one for being a sub. And if you haven't got early access, that will appear when full access begins next Tuesday, the 27th of October.
So clearly it's something they're going to add, but just haven't added it yet.
Yep. Now, in terms of a story, if you get the tactical version, but you'd rather do it solo for a flashpoint, the way you get rid of it is you abandon the tactical, you go to the physical location where you zone into the flashpoint, it's wherever its door is, and you will select and talk to the NPC next to it and select the solo option. So at no point will you are mandated to do the tactical version of a flashpoint. You will always have access to the solo version. You can do it in solo and will be able to progress.
Okay.
Not that I remember any of them that actually
And
require tactical.
and I guess solo or tactical, it's gonna be level synced, I presume.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's cool.
So all will be challenging. No easy mode stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Though, when you actually go to a planet level that is level synced, you'll still be able to blow your way through it. Apparently, you're still 2 levels above the level of the highest level of the planet now. That's where they ended up. So you're pretty powerful, and you have but not super powerful.
Right.
Now, so that's the patch notes. Read them in detail if you choose, but a lot of that stuff you just discover as you play through the game, and it's just nice. So many quality of life things that just make things a little bit smoother. Yeah, along with a few little glitches, but I'm sure they will sort out.
Mm-hmm.
Just a sec. Not in game tier, but I heard you could get them on the site. Have a look myself. What's that? Oh, he must be talking about the Insta60 tokens. Maybe they are now available. If they are, I will cut out that bit. So Thank you, Sweater Addict. All right, let's talk about alliances. The whole alliance system and the various aspects associated with it. So there's various goals, but we'll just walk through the actual changes. Specifically, we already know about...
Once in a while?
Yeah, they did, actually.
I figured they would. I didn't bother to try flipping over. I did notice that all the healing abilities were, in fact, healing abilities, though. In the old version, healing companions had a mix of damage abilities, so they'd be doing damage some of the time as well.
They were certainly doing damage, so...
Right. No longer. They must have some sort of just generic basic ability for damage. Yeah. That just fills in whenever they're on cooldown, or maybe everyone's healed.
Yep. Exactly right. Now, companion gear is purely aesthetic, as we talked about already, and your companion stats are derived on your own and will scale with level. Did they actually say that explicitly? They're based on yours, or are they based on level?
Which part are you on now?
Just down the companion gear, now purely aesthetic. So what they say is... companion... As far as companion combat performance goes, companions will now have baseline combat stats that automatically scale with your character level. So not your stats. Just your level. I guess that makes more sense. So... yeah, okay. I thought they implied it would actually be based. The higher your stats were, like the stats you get from your gear, the better your companion stats will be, but apparently not.
Just your level. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, although also your presence and, all that good stuff.
So presence now will give you a scaled bonus to...
Right.
Apparently it was a flat numeric before. The more presence you have, they just added on big chunks of the other stats.
Right.
Now it will actually scale by level, which means
I kind of dig that, because it used to be that, like, Treek would have, like 5,000 more health than I did at level 10, and, she was just a total, juggernaut wasting entire armies. And then, by the time you get to, like, level 50, she, like, barely seems adequate anymore.
Yeah, they actually talk about that, and they said they're going to miss it too. So the consequence is they won't be superpowered at lower levels, but they will be more effective. Presence will have more of a effect at higher levels.
Yeah, so, companions certainly seem effective in the coffee material. So
yes, they are. The gear slots are now only the aesthetic ones, so if they can't see it, like on a droid, you only get the weapon slot. For just like Vet, for example, a regular character, you've got all the slots which affect their look. And I thought they were getting rid of the offhand, but she's got 2 weapons, a dual wielder, so you have to plug them both in. So
cool.
There you go. If they would just use a shield generator or a power generator, then you wouldn't get the offhand slot. Now, the change from affection to influence is, we knew they were renaming it, but there's a more fundamental change going on, in that you lose influence or by making conversation choices your companions don't like. Basically, interacting with the companion just having any kind of conversation, and they may disapprove, and they will remember that apparently, but the amount of influence you gain is constant. So annoy them, make them happy, it doesn't matter, you get the same amount of influence.
Okay. It just might affect future conversations or something.
And future story options, etc. So
Cool.
yeah,
That sounds neat.
which is the way you want it. That means that you can actually make the choices that make sense for your character and the interaction
Right.
without worrying if you're annoying your companion. So
Yeah.
you don't have to escape out and do it again if you get a big -3 or something. Yeah.
Well, I've seen minus 260 and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
in certain ones, but I know a lot of them were reduced. Yeah, our peers rejoice. That's all of a sudden you can actually do your character's conversations the way you want to. That's just very cool.
Now, companion gifts, they have been scaled up, so in the amount of influence they grant compared to the amount of affection they did. So for the green gifts, the base value of all gifts has been increased by 33% in terms of the amount of influence they grant. The blue ones have had their value increased by an additional 20%, which will grant exactly twice as much as the greens. So blue is twice as much influence as the greens, and the purples are twice as much as the blues. So, and again, which means that all those ones from ranks 1 to 5 you may already have are now that much more valuable in terms of the amount of influence they give you.
Okay.
So this is a fantastic change overall. So I'm really happy with that, because I would rather just make decisions based on my character rather than having to worry about how they were annoying or not annoying my companion, because I needed the influence or the affection. So this is great.
Right.
And
1 second to you. Hang a sec.
sure.
Thank you. I'm back.
No worries. Now, influence directly increases your companion's power. You can think of it apparently like relationship XP. So the more influence you have with the companion, their influence rank increases, and this will give you a scaling bonus to their presence, and presence will increase their damage, healing, and health, as it does now. But it also gives bonuses to crew skill, time, efficiency, and crit. So all those inherent bonuses, like some were +5 to arms tech or whatever, all that's gone away. It's replaced by just this scaling bonus. And they gave an example. So 10,000 affection, which was the previous cap, converted into influence, will give you rank 10 out of however many ranks there are. A lot more than 10, it seems. And that equates to +500 presence, 15% crew skill efficiency, and +5% crit, which is pretty much the best you could get. So all you have to do is get rank 10, and whatever crew skills you've got, it will be maxed.
Right. It sounds like it's pretty similar to what you used to have, which is nice. So at least you're not losing anything. But
fact,
now
you're
you can
gaining
gain a
a
lot
lot.
more.
Yes.
Yeah, you can gain a lot more.
I had my crew skills and particular characters, classes kind of mixed up, so I didn't have the best combos. Now it doesn't matter. It's fantastic. So very happy about that. Remove that. Now there is a new UI, the Companions and Contacts window. That's where you summon your characters from. It is now bound to N, which was the crew skills, which is now B. We talked about that. It's a pretty fancy interface and has stuff in it which we don't really know about yet, because you have to get into the Alliance stuff post Chapter 9 to do it. There is now, you can see your followers, which are your companions, and your contacts. So you have followers, which are companions, which are summonable, and contacts, which are other people that you can have influence with. So you can build influence with your contacts, but your companions are your followers, and they're all listed under there. And that's where you can see their rank, and it gives you the summon button, and there's a bio over on the right there for any selected companion. So yeah, very fancy, and clearly they have room to grow here. So, and also there's an alert section, and so there's a whole lot here. The whole Alliance system is remarkably complex. So firstly, the whole recruited companions from other classes and just new characters generally to add into your Alliance. There's a whole lot of missions and stuff to do all this. You get them through the story.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing. We already talked about Star Fortress. Where to start? So, firstly, building an alliance. It's a network of game content and story missions that complement the storyline of the new expansion. So it's in addition to. So they basically built this whole story structure for the alliance in addition to the main coffee story that we'll be experiencing through the chapters.
Okay.
And that's how you build your alliance and recruit additional galactic forces or noteworthy individuals to your cause.
Right. Interesting. So your alliance, before this had launched, when we heard about the alliance, I always had in mind that there would be different alliances that you would join and you would gain affection with them essentially and gain influence with them. But it's not like that at all. It seems like you're actually creating your own little alliance, and that's what your alliance is. And your alliance is your companions and then these other people that you gain influence with.
Yes.
So that's an interesting twist. I did not see that coming. That's cool.
Although I made the point earlier that influence doesn't mean they like you. So affection was obviously affection, but influence just means you have interacted with them. They may actually hate your guts, but you have lots of influence with them. So very cool. They will be introducing new Alliance storyline stuff regularly alongside the new expansion. So there is more story content beyond the expansion itself. And I get the impression, not having done it myself, that it's actually quite time consuming in terms of the kind of stuff you'll have to get. And it almost sounds like a time management game because they're talking about the alerts popping up, alerting you to something happening, which you will then have to go and deal with.
Okay.
So that may behoove you to log into the game regularly just to see if any alerts have popped up. At least they're not appearing on your phone annoying you, but... So that's unless they add in that app, and then we could actually get it on our mobile phones as well.
Very nice.
At the moment, the alerts are only in-game. In the new expansion, you'll formally introduce your alliance, presuming that will happen by the end of Chapter 9, and the 4 major alliance specialist leaders who will oversee the various aspects of each operation. Again, I haven't done it yet, so don't really know what that means, but we'll get there. And it was the Alliance leaders who send you the Alliance alert missions. Oh boy. They're going to keep us busy, I see. So this is probably what we're going to be doing in between chapter releases. And with 250,000 influence max for all of your followers and the ability to add what they call the classic conversation presentation, which you may remember from KOTOR. Remember, your character didn't actually speak, but whoever you're talking to did. And what they did this so that you could have a whole lot more detailed responses for when you're choosing. So it's no longer a wheel. It's just there's the bar with the interaction with you and showing you and the command you're talking to, and then below it a list of options. In the example, there are 5 different ones. So it's just like KOTOR, basically. So I haven't experienced that yet, so that will be really interesting to actually play through. But yeah, your character says nothing. So when you choose a response, it's kind of silent, just like it was in KOTOR. They talk more about the new Star Fortress Flashpoint, which we kind of already covered. Yeah, and that becomes available at Chapter 9, Solo Mode, and the Heroic 2+. And for the 2+, it's intended for 2 players and their companions. Presumably you can do it in 4 of you as well if you chose. But it can be soloed if you've got enough of your alliance built. Now, anything else? We'll sort of go through this in more detail once we've sort of got into it ourselves, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of the details make sense, and obviously we're not going to spoil anything. All right, I think that's enough. Knights of the Fallen Empire's news for now. Obviously, we've only just got into it. Anything else you want to bring up from your own playthrough, Chill, so far?
Yeah, well, the combat on my current, operations character was pretty easy. I was curious to see if it would be a lot harder on like a fresh, 60 that I had just leveled and didn't have good gear. I'm presuming it would actually get at least semi-tricky at some points, so that'll be kind of fun to try later on. And yeah, we actually touched on a lot of the things that that I had noticed, like the whole B and the N for the companions and all that. didn't have any problems with the UI. I mean, the UI basically looked the same except the things they changed, but nothing, bugged out or anything. It was pretty awesome. And let's see. There was oh yeah, I didn't realize the Sky Troopers were droids until like a while through it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, me
okay,
either,
well,
actually. I thought they were
they're
in
called
armor, but-
Sky Troopers, but they're clearly actually droids, and
Yes.
they do let you scavenge them. So
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that too.
so that was weird. I still like how they look, but you do
The
see a
cool
lot
knights,
of them.
though, of course, are people. But yeah,
Yeah.
Sky Troopers are droids. All right.
Although I had my gunslinger make fun of how the knights looked, actually. So
There are a lot of great lines. So just speaking generally, Knights of the Fallen Empire, there is some fantastic dialogue in there. So
Yeah.
playing through it is... It's not like it's hard, so I was a bit concerned about playing through the story multiple times to level my characters, but it's just it's so quick that...
right.
And it's actually kind of enjoyable, because all the options are different for each class, I'm assuming. So,
That's cool. Yeah.
all right, now let's talk other Star Wars news briefly. Firstly, there is a new trailer for Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has no doubt seen it by now. You know, I have no idea what the story's going to be. I guess I got a kind of rough idea, but from the trailer, who the hell knows? And that's kind of cool. So going to go into it. Yeah,
I just
there's
checked. There's almost 32 million views on it
There
already.
you go. I think it's pretty much a success guaranteed. Who had any
Mhm.
doubt? There's a curious line in there that Han says, where he's talking about the Jedi, the dark side. It's all
Right.
true.
Mhm.
As if they've
The one I
forgotten all
quoted,
about
yes.
it. So,
Well, remember, I mean, even in A New Hope, the Jedi were sort of like removed enough from the rest of the galaxy that he could consider the Force simple tricks and nonsense. So it's not like even back then when the Jedi were were thousands of them, that it was clearly not it was clearly a tiny drop in the bucket, and a lot of people just didn't even
Speak
believe that
galaxy.
the Force was was anything.
though, of course, in the EU, now legend status, Luke re-established the Jedi Academy, and so they started training a whole lot more Jedi. So presumably that didn't happen.
Right. Plus, of course, Palpatine, I mean, he basically forbade anyone from even talking about the Jedi.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the 30 years that intervened would have wiped out what, sort of little lore that had sort of leaked into the general populace. So,
I
Yeah.
did finish reading Star Wars Aftermath, and
hmm
yeah, not good.
Still not your
It's all
favorite.
right. But
have you at least read Dark Disciple?
no,
Okay.
you recommend that?
Yes, that's a good one.
Okay. I started reading Lost Stars, the one that Alex recommended to us, and then I realised it was a young adult. I mean, it's still okay, but it's a young adult.
I haven't read it.
So
Okay.
yeah. All right. Next in the news. Oh, we've already booked our tickets for seeing Force Awakens on December 18th. So
Right. I wanted to, but my wife keeps wanting to see, like, if she wants to put up a little party together to get him going. I think we should just buckle down and buy the damn things, because otherwise we won't be able to get in on the first weekend. So.
right. I don't know if you
Yeah.
have the equivalent of Gold Class, where you have comfy lounge chairs to actually watch it. So
We only go to this one Cinetopia is called, and it's a local chain that's all high-end theaters. It's really
very
good.
nice. Yeah. Now, apparently, it may be available in 3D, so I haven't got confirmation of that yet.
Yeah, we won't be seeing it in 3D. My wife can't handle it.
Yeah, I'm not.
It screws up her eyes. She gets headaches and hates it the whole time.
Now, we did want to talk briefly about the voice actors' strike. Probably won't go into it in much detail. Sir Salisbury has been actually talking to us about this on Twitter, and the SAG-AFTRA, which I had to look up, is the Screen Actors Guild and the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. So basically, they're particularly successful, and by particularly successful, we're talking selling 2 million units. Is the first milestone, or 4 million, 6 million, 8 million. They get a little additional performance bonus. That's all.
Okay.
and union scale payments for your performance. Currently $3,300. So
Per
doesn't seem like a lot.
performance?
Yeah.
Per performance, regardless of how long it takes?
Unclear.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know how that works. Voice stress. They should get stunt pay if the recording is particularly stressful. Now, I listened to this podcast series by a voice actor, and you really have... I had no idea, personally, just how stressful it could be on their voice. Because remember, they are putting on a voice usually different from their own, usually multiple voices. Some of them actually quite difficult to produce, and it really can produce vocal stress. If they overwork, they can lose their voice and their livelihood at that point. And so...
Makes sense.
They're basically saying there's a limit to 2-hour recording sessions.
Yeah, and of course a lot of times they're being put in dramatic or stressful situations, and their characters have to scream or yell a lot, so...
Yes. So, yeah, don't think it's really you just, read a script. There's a lot to it.
No.
Oh, this one's interesting. Stunt coordinators. They want stunt coordinators when they're doing mocap, motion capture. Because apparently someone was injured when they were strapped into a harness, and anyway, they screwed up and they got injured.
A harness,
so that seems quite reasonable.
Right. Yeah, if the harness is taking them off the ground at all, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Someone who knows what they're doing as far as that goes.
And finally, they want some transparency into the parts that they're playing. Apparently, the implication is they get told very little. They just turn up, read some lines. They just say, here's
your lines, here you go.
Yeah. And people are supposed to accept parts without really knowing anything about what it is. It may be some show or something they don't want to be associated with. And if they're not told the details, then...
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it from an actor's standpoint, but that makes sense too.
So if this is what they're striking about, and the game producers are being recalcitrant about it, doesn't seem reasonable. I mean, I think we all want fair pay for fair work. It's just a reasonable thing. So none of this and fair conditions. It all seems quite reasonable. Anyway, this strike is apparently they have authorised a strike, so there may be some delays, and it sounds like from what you learned at the cantina that they are going to be recording the new stuff in a couple of months. So
we'll see.
This may still be a problem.
Right.
All right. One more thing in the news, Jill, and then we're done with that. Just wanted to mention a new SWOTOR database. Now, this is at swotor.jedipedia.net. That is a German wiki site, but the actual database itself has an English version, and it is data mine content. Though these guys they can't work with Bioware because Bioware does not approve data mining, of course. But these guys have been very careful not to do anything that isn't available in the game. They're covering different stuff to what the Tor community guys are going with, and there's some interesting stuff that they cover. So it's definitely worth a look. I'll link to it in the show notes and link to it from our main page. So again, some of it will be, by definition, be spoilery because they will reveal stuff in all of their chapters currently in-game, but these guys are not getting stuff that hasn't been released. So it's a fine line, but it's another resource for the community and looks pretty good so far. A lot more to come too. All right, that's the news.
That'll bring us to the Force Feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. Chat room, if you have any questions to ask, we'll be gathering them now to answer once we're done with the feedback. And Charlie started off with the latest pack video. Yay! And Charlie editorializes, it would seem BioWare thought more about quality than quantity. Awesome.
Yes.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always one of my favorite things is when his pack videos come out. So I'm looking forward to that. Giant Gina wrote, a good tip of the week by Night on episode 230, swapping using focus target and target of target effectively is the next skill people need to improve their playing performance. Lots of people at this point know how to achieve good damage. The next level of play is getting priority targets dead and keeping heals alive.
Indeed. Such as switching to the tank's target and following the tank. And PvP is even more important, of course, to make sure you're focusing the right characters. Right players.
Alrighty. Avicerus wrote, howdy gang, starting over. Howdy, gang. The main reason for writing is to give a great big internet hug / shout out to Sukaiberu and the gang we've been raiding with over the past month or so. They've been super helpful and have welcomed me and my wife, Alindra, with open arms, and we've been having a blast. Really looking forward to trying to level up in Kotfi. So thanks to Sukaiberu, Fionha, Dekion, Mayanta, Regedi, and various others for showing us such a good time. Love, Viserys, and Alindra. Very nice. Blacklock wrote in, Voss are 9 foot tall, my ass. You're a little short to be a Voss, aren't you? And he has a screenshot of his character standing next to a Voss.
So when I was going through the Imperial Agent story, I was on Voss. And so obviously, since this had been raised by Michael Backus at the Cantina, I paid attention to how tall they were. The in-game characters, as in what you see in the open world, are pretty much normal height. But as you mentioned, I think, last week, if you look in the cutscenes, they are taller.
Taller.
I wouldn't say 9 foot, but 7, 8-ish.
Right.
So,
9 foot, that's 3 meters. That's tall.
Yeah.
That's like Wookiee height.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous. So, but the weird thing is the character models in-game being different to what you see in the cutscenes. So, that's kind of weird.
That is weird.
There's no reason for that, because Wookiees are certainly full size when you see them wandering around the world.
Let's see. Juiced wrote, I love Vidrig and his witty banter. SWTOR, more of this kind of visual humor. And it shows a picture of his companion holding his side. Doing a little bit of play acting, presumably.
Yeah. Always clutching the side. Yep. I guess I can't do anything else now. It's just so classic in terms of displaying an injury.
Didn't they say that they had added like one extra I'm hurt move in the game,
the other
though?
Side?
Yeah.
I thought that was a joke.
Greg wrote in response to T.O., who was saying, when you start Coffee companion missions, in addition to class story main storylines from Rise of the Hutt, Cartel, Shadow of Revan, and
Rise of the Emperor.
Rise of the Empire?
Emperor.
Oh, Rise of the Emperor. Oh, in other words, Ziost.
Yeah.
Will become unavailable. Does that include companion missions not yet started? So if I haven't done them, I never can.
That is correct. So once you start Knights of the Fallen Empire, all of that is finished for you, and I'm pretty sure you don't get anything for it. So it would behoove you, as mentioned earlier, if you want to, if you can be bothered, go through and do all your companion stories. I will actually, as I've mentioned, I'm going to make sure I get all the way through Ziost on any character before getting to Knights of the Fallen Empire. That's what I say now. That may change after the 4th or 5th character, but we'll see.
Is there any real reason to do it on every character?
Oh, hell no. You don't lose anything. You don't need to do it to start Knights of the Fallen Empire. It's just if you're a completionist. It's not like you get achievements or anything, because they're all legacy-wide.
Yeah.
In fact, there's no reason at all, to be perfectly honest. But, oh well. You do get XP, so you could probably get to 65 before even starting Knights of the Fallen Empire, if you're a bit behind on everything else.
Right. Okay, Jason W. wrote, with level sync, I can go back to at 60 and do old quests for XP now, but if I start Coffee...
Is that true? No. The only things you lose access to are your class story, the main storylines from the expansions, including the Ziost one, Rise of the Emperor, and apparently your companion missions. That's it. Everything else, if you haven't done it already, is completely open to you. And those heroics are most definitely continually open to you, though they're all weekly now. So, there's plenty of stuff to do with for level sync, even if you start the expansion.
Okay, Descartes wrote, Eric without his assault cannon just looks weird. Armstead is making lots of rifles and tech blades.
Referring, of course, to the fact that Eric can only use blaster rifles and sniper rifles now, I guess.
Right.
So
no more cannon. Yep.
No more assault cannon.
Yeah. But, he was it in the chat room? They were saying, since he was the head of a sniper, unit at some point, so it would make more sense for him to use sniper rifles. Turg speaks with level sync. Future story and content could be on any world, and world arcs expanded for parallel leveling paths. It's super frustrating. This is very true, yes.
Yeah, these are all separate tweets, so we may just want to take them through.
Oh, okay. It's super frustrating to hear things are too easy because they don't know how to do it better. Just give every instance a story mode, hard mode, and nightmare mode.
Yeah.
That's one way.
Didn't happen, won't happen, but it's a nice idea.
Please explain what to do with elite comm boxes. Operation Gear vendors won't take them, and they are hogging all my inventory.
And then Nero responded, you need to make many loud comments about how the game content is well below your skill level. Then they open. And Turgs responded with, maybe the opposite. One unlocks each time you die during the class story. If you don't die, you must not need the gear.
Yeah, that's actually clever.
Wouldn't that be hella funny? Turg went on to say the pop-up info that he gets says take them to the operation vendor, but when I did, it said 0 credits, cannot sell the item. So, and there was a post about it being a bug and saying they were just mislabeled, and he wonders if there's more to it. And I didn't get a chance to try it before the show, so I do want to try and open one and see what happens.
I'm wondering if you're actually supposed to like trade it in for something. Like maybe they actually trade you something for an object.
They did say they contain the crystals, so in theory not.
So you should just open them up?
I'll report back on a character that isn't maxed out.
And then Turg wrote, in my day we ran without sprint. When we finally got a speeder, it was slow. Knockoffs were plentiful, and we liked it.
So not true. And Kuzo responded, it's all fun and games until every mob is knocking you off your mount. It happens to me on McKeb with max speed and mount at 55.
Yep.
Yeah, no, one of the most annoying things in the game is being knocked off your mount. I mean, that happens rarely, but it usually happens at the most inopportune moment too. But anyway, Turg responded to Kuze, maybe they want you to get super frustrated enough that you'll buy a knockoff immune cartel market mount when they inevitably come.
Right.
Yeah, or maybe a legacy unlock that prevents knockoffs.
that would be good.
10,000 cartel coins. Yep.
That's right. Legacy level 50. There we go.
Yep.
Happy to hear that people love Kotvi, but how long did it take BioWare to produce a day or two's worth of content? Is this a sustainable model? What was the story cadence plan? I thought it was like one chapter a month, around and starting either right away or around January.
So the latter is correct, around January. Their cadence is one chapter per month. Each chapter play through, so assuming you don't spacebar or anything, and you certainly shouldn't, let's say an hour if you're generous. So, an hour of gameplay every month for your sub. But, of course, in addition, there will be the additional content that comes with the Alliance system, which is additional story content, plus a whole lot of stuff to do with your Alliance. So we haven't experienced that enough to know how much content there is. The Star Fortress flashpoint that they're adding as part of the Alliance system, there's 6 of them. As mentioned, they are like QR drive yards in terms of lots of mini bosses, different objectives, different maps. So there's a whole lot of variability in that thing as well.
Right.
Again, we don't know how much time it will actually take.
But it's all not just all about the storylines.
It's not just the by chapter story.
Right.
And remember, most players are casual, so this is almost certainly enough to keep most people happy.
Mm-hmm. The Zez is writing in chat, you buy the opened lockbox and trade it for the locked. So
okay,
that would make sense. So you do trade it for something and then you're able to get it from there. All right. I guess that makes sense.
I'll report back.
Hopefully that's how it works.
Yep.
Because although I'm not sure why they couldn't just give you one that was already unlocked, but okay.
I don't know.
Must have been some reason for it. I can't think if that's the sort of thing they would do, make it more complex than needed on purpose without there being sort of some underlying reason for it.
You would think not, but who knows?
Hollow wrote, hey, OotiniCast, I've been away for a while, just got back to playing. Whatever happened to Better Than Cross Server? I'm going to start streaming again soon, hopefully. I have to redo my setup due to my unfortunate fail grade to Windows 10.
Oops. So, according to Michael Backus at the Community Cantina, which Chill attended, and he said you can put this on Facebook that there will be 2 things associated with Better Than Cross Server appearing before next year's New York Comic Con. So sometime in the next year, 2 things will be announced and delivered.
Right, and then Musco immediately had to back off the timeline of that. But yes,
Yes.
yeah, and it was also suggested that it's not necessarily about being about cross server. It's more about making sure that queues pop quickly.
Exactly. So the way they've sort of increased the pool of characters that can get into hard mode, flashpoints, tacticals, everything, like it's all across the level range, and hard mode is 50 to 65, story mode operations 50 to 65. Again, these are little things which will help with the queues.
Right. Darth Brundlefly wrote, which JSO Wilson is canon, light or dark? If we make an auto level 60 Sith warrior, I wonder.
A damn fine question.
Yeah, and gotta admit, like, whichever one they choose is kind of going to be de facto canon. So
yeah. Oh well. If anyone creates one, please let us know.
Tijuanero wrote, "Yo, Mama, so yes, Star Wars humor. We're back to it. Yo, Mama, so ugly. She's the reason why the Colicoids hide underground. Your Mama so ugly. The Tatooine bartender said, we don't serve her kind here." Okay.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Yo Mama jokes, but oh well. Yeah.
Thematic.
Yeah. Certainly up to the usual level of Star Wars humor.
Yes.
Do I mean down to? Yeah.
Let's see. Dunadai wrote, "Hey guys, with 4.0 now live, looking back in hindsight, how do you think BioWare handled the information released for the expansion? And with the information we have now, was it still too little and too infrequently, or paced just about right to build up the anticipation for the release?"
Let's talk about that now.
Yes.
And also, JB tweeted at us, now 4.0 is here. How do you think the release schedule of information was accurate, considering criticism of no information? So, kind of the same question that Dunadai is asking. Okay, so for myself, you go, Jill.
Oh, I was going to say, I think for the players that they are really aiming the expansion at, which are either new players or players who haven't played in a while and they want to get back, I think they did great. For the people who've been around a long time and were more interested in the little piddly details about how the crew skills were going to be handled and stuff like that, it was pretty dry. It was not really fast enough or quite enough. We're really only getting a lot of this right now as it's going live. So, so I think for the audience that they really wanted to hit hard and get a hold of for the expansion, I think they did fine. I'm sure they did great. And and for the rest of us, well, we're just gonna have to deal with it and find the information as it comes. So that's what I think.
Much. They certainly played the Alliance stuff close to the vest, which was a little strange. But I'm still not sure what about it is so super secret that they can't reveal it until the expansion is live.
And it's kind of something that, if they'd given us some little more details of, it would have been interesting to those of us who've been in the game a long time. Maybe they thought it was like one bit of information too much for the new players. I don't know.
As far as the rest goes, the crafting changes would have been nice to know earlier. Does any of this make any difference? Not really. I mean, we all like to know as early as possible, but looking back on it, it would have been nice to have more news to do, so we didn't have to rush it at the end in terms of this is us being selfish in terms of a podcast covering this stuff. But yeah, I would have preferred a little more drawn out in terms of the delivering, yes. But now it's here and it doesn't matter anymore, so.
All right, shall we go on to the other bit of Dunadai's? All right, Dunadai also wrote, "And just for Tio, I've attached the best Star Wars humor I've encountered. It's a picture of R2, and it says, the most vulgar character of all time. They beeped out every single word he said."
That one's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Foul-mouthed droid.
Okay, Thon of the Thon Legacy on Jedi Covenant. I'm interested to know whether others feel that the gameplay in Coffee is just too easy. I've only finished the first 4 chapters, but the gameplay seems even easier than solo flashpoints with the GSI droid. I'm no hardcore raider, and I don't need everything to be nightmare mode, but when the gameplay seems to run on autopilot, that's immersion breaking all by itself. I want to feel invested in the story, but if combat is no challenge whatsoever, then I don't feel like I've accomplished anything, and the story, therefore, has little impact. I recognize that BioWare is all about story, which I loved going all the way back to the original KOTOR, but I remember dying several times before I even got off the very first ship in KOTOR, which made it seem like an accomplishment once I cleared that level. I remember that too. There was a couple of tricky parts. Yeah. Is it possible that the powers that be at BioWare don't understand that for story to mean anything, it needs to be placed in a context, and that the context in this case means that the keyboard warriors, myself included, need to feel like they've personally overcome obstacles by playing the game? Sleepwalking through short intervals of combat in order to watch extended, though admittedly well done, cinematics seems a bit, well, boring. Is there a way to let Eric Musco know that even us non-Raider story mode players actually want to be challenged?
Yeah, well, one could say that the Coffee story is almost like a movie with some small fighting scenes interspersed, which is sort of non-challenging. You can almost just click your way through. But and then there are the massive cutscenes, which are fantastic, really, really nicely done.
Yeah.
And then there's fighting a bunch of Skytroopers again, or other things. Skytroopers. Lots of Skytroopers. Is it boring? Well, the difference from KOTOR is interesting. Of course, with KOTOR and games like it, single-player games, you have save games. But in an MMO, it's not like you can't just respawn and just keep on going. So what's wrong with a bit of challenge? It's also possible they have overtuned the ability of the companions. So they're actually helping too much and making it too easy, and they may actually be able to fix that. But yeah, at the moment, there is no challenge here, and maybe
possibly,
it's not meant to be.
Yeah, possibly a newly subscribed player with basically no presence might have a tricky time of it. I don't think so, but maybe they would, and certainly they're going to have to consider players like that when they're creating the difficulty. It makes it tricky.
It makes it harder for us who are, even us who are casual raiders, who more or less know what they're doing. So obviously this content is easy for us, but as you say, for everyone else.
Right, I generally do agree with his point that it would help the story to feel more impactful if the combat that actually got you to the next part was was making you think and work at it. That's true. Would
it be frustrating though if you're trying to get through the story and you
keep dying? It's a tricky balance.
It is. It really is. I just found the combat annoying. Actually, I was going through the story. It's like, here we go, more Skytroopers. Come on. I mean, the other bits where you're doing some other things, they're actually kind of cool. But yeah.
All right. Daniel wrote, I don't know if you're still taking Star Wars jokes, but I thought I'd give it a go. Why do Skywalkers make such good volunteers? Because they're always there to lend a hand.
That one is actually quite good.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, that's up there. Definitely up there.
Keep up the great work. Love the show. Look forward to all the things you cover with Coffee coming out. Thank you, Daniel.
That'll keep us with lots to talk about in weeks to come, I suspect.
Yep. I'm going to have to power my way through Act 9, or is that what they're calling it? Acts? I can't remember. Chapter 9, yeah. Chapter 9, and get going on the whole alliance thing. I'm interested in to see how that works out.
Definitely.
And sorry, my voice is getting a little creaky for some reason. I'm gonna try to power through that as soon as possible. Maybe get a nice stream going tonight.
Excellent.
At least get to 65, if not get through all the chapters, and we'll go from there.
All right. Oh, and Chill, please do a Nutini Rage. You've never done one.
I have done one, actually, but that's all right. I can do another.
When was that? Sometime in the last 4 years, obviously, but...
It was about 6 or 7 weeks ago, not that long ago.
Okay.
Remember I did the really gruff one? It was like
Yeah.
it was like a growl, kind of. Yeah.
No, but I believe you. Oh, vaguely, really vaguely. Anyway, it's all lost in the mist of time
Okay.
and my aging memory.
Is that it then?
Yep.
All right, that's a show. If you like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our Utini Rage Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is from Mevio's Music Alley. Check it out at music.mevio.com. That's MEVIO. And thank you to the chat room. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Jill, do you want to stop your recording? I'll just count us down.
Okay, getting ready. Okay, anytime.
3, 2, 1, stop.
Okay.
All right. Guys, thank you for watching. I'm sorry we couldn't be more detailed about the alliance system, but really we've got no idea because we haven't done it yet. But we will correct that. And I refuse to look at guides, so I really want to discover it for myself. So hopefully we'll have time to do that over the next week or so. What the hell's that? That looks like spam. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Chill will be streaming later on Chill Swotor on twitch.tv/ChillSwotor. I won't be because I don't stream, but I'll probably watch Chill. A surprise commentator shouting Utini Rage. Indeed. No, that was a good one, Chill. I like that. Alright guys, let me stop the stream and everything, and yeah. We will see you next week. Peace. May the force be with you.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll get a stream going hopefully, except like I said in chat, I just don't know